William Bury Westall was a British writer. He was born in 1834 in Whitehash, Lancashire, the son of cotton mill owner John Westall. He spent several years in Switzerland as the correspondent for the Times and the Daily News. His first book was the 1878 In Tropic Seas, A Tale of the Spanish Main. He died in 1903. We will cover his 1887 A Queer Race, the Story of a Strange People. The story begins with Earl, one of the underwriters for a new insurance company, facing paying £20,000 to the owners of the Niobe after she sank in fine weather. But then Tim Bolsover, one of the seamen on the Niobe, comes to tell him how he saw the captain wandering the lower decks with a drill that one time. Earl decides to make a slanderous sketch of the captain and the owner of the Niobe drilling holes in her for the insurance. And just by showing this sketch to the owner, they no longer want their £20,000. But then the bank where the company has all its money folds and they go under anyway. Worse, his fiancée's father demands this to mean the end of his engagement to his daughter. And though she promises him eternal constancy, she almost immediately announces her engagement to someone else. Depressed, he takes the offer of Captain Peyton to sail with him to South America aboard the Diane. Among the crew is also Tom Bolsover, whose manic obsession with a ship lost a century ago Peyton makes reference to. After some time, Tom does show Earl an old diary his father found 60 years ago in the Azores in a metal case, this being the diary of ship chaplain Reverend Robert Hare, aboard the Hecate, sent out in 1744 to try and intercept some Spanish treasure ships coming from the New World. The Hecate does take a Spanish ship, the Santa Ana, but after the Hecate burns down, the survivors on the Santa Ana are becalmed and dying of thirst when the Reverend Hare throws his missive into the ocean. Both Tim Bolsover and his father had been obsessed with finding the Santa Ana, saying she must still not have sunk after a century and a half due to being made of teak. Earl dismisses this notion and Bolsover's offer to have the treasure as softly as he can. But then they have other worries as Captain Peyton decides to tow a ship whose entire crew had died of yellow fever for a tidy profit to himself. It goes about as well as you think. The entire crew starts dying of the fever until only Earl and Bolsover are left. But neither can navigate and a storm blows them way off course. Then they are nearly smashed on some multicolored rocks in the fog. Just before they swerve it away, Earl sees an inscription on the rock. Santa Ana 1744. The ship is safe and they spy some houses on the island, so wait for the inhabitants to come to them. What is Earl's surprise when he sees a boat full of people with bronze and red spotted skin and copper faces who hail him in perfect English. Taking them to the fair island and their capital of Fair Haven, Earl is brought into the house of Queen Mab. She is very excited about all the newfangled contraptions and the massive store of books on board the Diane. Earl learns the islanders are descended from the men of the Hecate who settled and mingled with the native Caribs and somehow got their odd metallic multicolored complexions. Everything on the island is antiquated, even matches, provoking the people and calling out wizardry. On the other hand, the people see and hear several times better than people anywhere else, and are far stronger and faster. The one issue is the slavery of the Cariberos, Caribs from a nearby island, who invaded the island a century ago and were enslaved by the protected Denzel Thane. Everyone seeing their slavery is normal despite those attempts. Now when Mab and Earl go back on the Diane to get more stuff, someone cuts the ship loose and it nearly smashes in a storm. Earl and company return to Fair Haven while avoiding a scouting party of Cariberos just in time to stop Mab's cousin from attempting a coup, he being the one who cut them loose. All rally around Mab and face the invading Cariberos in a bloody battle in the burning forest before Earl gets his just reward. The biggest problem is this society is never really explored. The founder's fancy for Oliver Cromwell appears to only go as far as emulating his hypocrisy of founding a commonwealth but still making the headship of state hereditary among his family. There are no Puritan overtones and we only learn some small idiosyncrasies of this society in chapter 26. Nor do we get to know any of the locals beyond Mab.